Hey guys, Rob Shoecraft here with 3Storm Fitness, and today I'm going to talk to you about a few points. I got about 10 of them, which right now I'll tell you can jump down to the description and check it out. I'll do like a timestamp, the YouTube chapters or whatever. You can bounce around if you don't want to hear me rant. That being said, some things that I wish I knew or actions I took or perspectives that I had when I was starting off as a personal trainer. I was a trainer for, I say was because I'm technically not anymore. I'm wearing business casual right now. I'm working a regular job. But I still think I have some valuable insight for somebody just starting off, and specifically somebody who, I guess, like the nice guy sort of personal trainer, right? My background, the pre-dating fitness, was really has always been in more like service-oriented industries, right? I worked a lot of retail management. Right now I'm in IT, which is IT support, which is a big part of my job. So I'm doing a lot of service. That being said, I'm always trying to like go out of my way to be accommodating, right? To whoever the client or the person, the customer, or whatever you want to call them, whoever's paying me, right? Whoever I'm getting paid to support and help. I've always kind of gone out of my way, given that sort of like white glove, carry the can of paint out to the old lady's car or whatever, or whoever wants me to carry their stuff for them. I want to go out of my way to make sure that they don't have to lift a finger if they don't have to. So I'm always sort of coming from that perspective. And also, it's going to sound like I'm being sarcastic, but like treating people like adults. I'm not big into babysitting people and calling them and being like, hey, you missed your appointment, come on. But as you'll find out, there's a place for that, and I think you need to do that at least to some degree. So let's get right to the points. I got about 10 of them. Like I said, I'm going to look at some bullets I wrote down here, in no particular order. Okay. So number one, don't assume that your clients have any clue what they're doing. There are folks that do. I mean, obviously, when you go through your screening process or your initial meeting with them to talk your assessments, talking about goals, this and that, finding out more about them, start building rapport, you're going to know what sort of their history is, and you're going to find out that folks with a more athletic background. I could get somebody who was like hadn't worked out for 20 years, super overweight, but they used to be like a really serious football player. And you get them in the gym, and they could just, you'd ask them to bang out, see if they could do push-ups, right? They'd hit like 25 of them, like had first push-ups they'd ever done in 20 years. And then on the flip side, you'd get somebody who, for all intents and purposes, looked, regular BMI, whatever, but they've never really worked out, and they can't even hold a plank. So that being said, you got to find out about your clients, right? You can't just assume that people are going to be able to, feel the squeeze, the contractions, and the triceps. Just because you know how to do it, and just because you have another person who knew how to do it, doesn't mean that anyone else is going to. So just assume that they don't. You're not going to insult them. That's what progressions are for. That's what regressions are for. Start small. Build your way up. Don't just start somebody in on something, even if you think it's easy. Now, this video is not going to be long enough for me to really expound on that, but do your due diligence. Start simple and work your way up. You might find, okay, you do a push-up. Guy hits like 10 of them without breaking a sweat. Great. Let's move on from there. Whatever. You figure that out. You don't have to sit there and dwell on it for the entire workout for a week. Just build on that. All right, so don't assume your clients have any clue what they're doing. Don't assume that they know how to program the machine that they're on, to change the selectorized equipment, to work a carabiner, to any of that. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. But just assume they're coming to you because you're the expert. So be the expert and treat them like someone who's learning with respect, but they're the student, okay? All right. Insist. This is pretty important. I've grown to be a pretty firm believer in this. Insist that they track their own workout progress. This is like it's tired cliche, but man, it's so true. The whole what's the most important piece of gym equipment? It's your logbook, right? Or whatever it is you'd use to track your workouts. That is the most important. I mean, you always got to know where you are. Of course, there's a million ways to progress. But I shouldn't have to tell you why that's so important, but I might need to tell you why it's important to have your clients do it. For you not to just, like I was saying, I'm doing white glove stuff. I don't want them to have to lift a finger. I'm going to write all that down. I'm going to track it, right? It's important that I know where they are, but I firmly believe that they need to track it. They need to know how to do that. And what you're going to find, kind of back to the first point of don't assume the clients have any clue what they're doing. You might find somebody who's been training with you for 2 years, but as soon as you have to, I don't know, maybe they go on vacation or you go on vacation and you got to leave them for themselves. They have no idea how to do anything, right? That's very possible. I've seen it happen. Like, how do you not know how to do that? We've done it 3 days a week for the last 2 years, right? That's not their fault. That's your fault for not having them invested in their own their workouts, their own plans. And they're going to see what their progress is. By writing it down, they now have an intimate knowledge. They don't just assume he's going to put the right weights on the bar and, they now know, they might start second guessing you or whatever, and sometimes that needs to happen. I've screwed people up before, just not paying attention, having 15 things going on at once. Whatever the case may be, your client is always going to benefit from tracking their own workouts. Plus, when they leave you, eventually they probably will for whatever reason, they're going to have that habit. Probably, like, again, one of the most important things they could do is track their progress. They're going to have that now as just a staple in whatever their fitness journey is, right? Okay, so have them track their own workouts. 3, like I said, no particular order here. The next thing I wrote down, don't be overly accommodating in terms of white glove service. Be accommodating by building your knowledge, listening, and having a great attitude, building rapport, making them comfortable in often uncomfortable situations like going to the gym. All right. So I actually wrote this like 2 months ago. More along the lines of what I've been saying. Have them every now and then set up their own power rack, set the height, change the J cups. Choose their own selectorized equipment. Tell them, hey, what did you do last time? All right, obviously you're probably going to be planning out what their workout is ahead of time, but start putting it on them. Make them more empowered. Give them more autonomy. I've always said that. I'm thirsty here. I've always told my clients, and maybe this is bad for business. I really don't care. My goal is to make you not need me, right? Now, of course, you could argue that everybody needs some sort of personal trainer, depending on what they're doing. That's not what I'm talking about. For people that just the average person, general population, just wanting to get fit, wanting to be strong, all the goals. I'm talking to personal trainers here, probably. They need to be able to do it on their own. You need to teach them, okay? Don't enable them to deprecate their independence, enable them to grow, to learn, and eventually replace you. Most likely, for those who are concerned that somebody's going to be like, I know everything there is to know, see ya, thanks, right? First of all, that's their prerogative. They've been paying you, whatever. If that's the way it works, there's always other fish in the sea, right? Fat fish in the sea. But most likely they're going to be like, you've taught me so much, I want to keep training with you. Like, what else can we do? And you're going to help them bust through the inevitable plateaus and all these things. You're not going to lose a client by making them more capable. All right. So, but again, on the flip side, don't do everything for them. Start weaning them off and making them more independent. It's going to help everybody. Trust me. Let's see. Don't set weight loss expectations. Okay. So that might sound kind of funny. So people would used to come, when I was starting off, I was all hungry and jazzy and, people would say, hey, can you help me lose weight? Of course, that's like the number one thing. I should tell you, I mean, I have trained some athletes, and I kind of just trained anybody who wanted, to work with me. I was open to anything, and I don't regret that. It was fun. Eventually, you might want to find your own specialization. Maybe that could be on there. But nevertheless, for the market where I wanted to help anybody who needed help and was willing to pay me, right? So most people say, I want to lose weight. Can you help me lose weight? Well, of course, a personal trainer can help somebody lose weight. Of course they can, right? Of course you can. But you probably know as well as I do how much of weight loss is more or less out of your control. Now, I don't want to get into state, the difference between state laws of, what you're allowed to do as a trainer in terms of diet and sleep prescriptions and, what would hold up in court, what won't. Check, know your laws, talk to a lawyer. I highly recommend that. But you cannot control what they eat. I know a lot of trainers that are like, screw it, I don't care. I'm telling them what to eat. This is super important. They better stick to the diet I give them. If they sue me, well, it's not going to happen. It never has, that whole thing. If that's how you want to do things, you want to fly that way, I'm not going to stop you. That's just not how I did it. I would say, I'm allowed to say, well, this is what I would do in that situation, or I would give them information, or I would refer them to an RD, or I would refer them to a service like I've talked about Avatar Nutrition before, or a recipe, whatever. You can give them information, but you cannot say, at least I can't in the state of Ohio, a non-registered dietitian, I cannot say, you got to eat this at this time, whatever. I think we've established that. That being said, I cannot control what they do. I can only control the time, the 2 to 4 hours a week that I spend with them. Usually what that amounts to is I can make you stronger, right? I can do the exercise part. We can do the things that are going to make you better all the way around. Even if you stay looking the exact same way you are, you're still going to be stronger. You're still going to have more stamina. You're going to move better, all these things. Of course, they don't want to hear that when you're talking about how much, I want to get back down to my high school weight or whatever it is, fit into a wedding dress. What I started doing by the end of the last year or two that I was doing personal training is when somebody asked me that, I would say, exercise can help you lose weight, but I want you to operate under the assumption that it won't, okay? If you start, and we'll start nailing down your diet, I will start giving you information, but that is on you. Set the standard, set the expectation from the get-go. Diet, sleep, stress management, that is something that you control. I will help you every way I possibly can, but you have to do it. You are in charge, all right? Stick with me, you'll get stronger. If you do all the right things, if you're eating the right things, if you're getting enough sleep, etc., it's all going to come together. It's going to be beautiful, and then you can give me all the credit if you want to. But to get there, it's on you. So, that being said, I wouldn't say, hey, can you help me lose weight? Yeah, you can lose 20 pounds. Like, yes, you probably could, right? But make sure that they know that they have to do it, not you, okay? Unless, unless you are qualified or you don't care and you just want to take full-blown control of their lives, that's a different story, but that's not what I did. All right. By the way, that's enabling, in my opinion. That's too accommodating. Give them some independence, right? All right. Let's see. If someone shows up and says they want to come to 2 sessions every day, okay, yeah. All right, this is like a scenario here, and you see this I've seen this in jiu-jitsu. You see this in everything. You know these guys. I'm going to explain them. This is a client. Somebody shows up. He says, "Yo, I know you do a morning class. You do morning sessions. You do evening sessions. I used to do basically you pay me a certain amount a month, and you can come to as many as you want. That's how I did it. You do it however you want, but." That being said, if somebody really wanted to come twice a day, they could, right? So let's say this guy's like, all right, I want to come twice a day, every day. Tell me what I need to buy at home. I want to do workouts at home too. Give me the strictest, hardest diet you could possibly give me. They start showing up with all this crazy new workout clothes, and yeah, that's a red flag. I know it sounds great. I was excited. I'd see those folks come in. I'd be like, this is great. This person's going to shine. Silly me. That's not, I've never, ever seen those people. And nothing against them. It's cool. I love the enthusiasm. But I've never seen anybody in anything, fitness, guitar, jiu-jitsu, whatever, last for more than like 2 weeks like that. They burn out. They get, I'm pretty sure, I don't want to get too psychological here, but I'm pretty sure they get high on the commitments, this false sense of completion when they haven't actually done anything yet, but they're making all these claims of the things they are going to do. It sort of jives with that whole mentality, right? Those people are going to crash and burn. You need to slow them down, right? You need to get them. For folks, like I said, I used to say, "Oh, great, man, cool, yeah, come whenever you want. Yeah, I'll give you the." When they come in, you say, "All right, I'm glad you're excited. You're going to do great things. You keep coming, but let's start you off. I got a program. It's going to be perfect for you where you are right now. You come 3 days a week. We'll start there, and as you progress, we'll start adding some spice to it. Let's look at your diet. If this person's really hell bent on doing the strictest, craziest diet they can, send me a log. Keep a log for 7 days. Just eat everything you want to eat, how you normally eat it. Send it to me, and let's go ahead and go through the low-hanging fruit. Let's just start establishing these good habits and build slowly onto it, because that is what folks like that need. There are some people that will come out of the gate and just go 100 miles per hour and get it done, and they'll just keep getting it done. But those people are very, very rare, and that is not who I'm talking about. I think you know probably who I'm talking about. You might be that person. I don't know. Hopefully that makes sense. Let's see. Focus on quality compound movements. Okay. I'm not saying that isolation exercises are bad. Single joint stuff. I'm not saying that those things don't have a place. That these kind of little more like nuanced accessory sort of work doesn't have its place. Excuse me. But for most people, again, most of the folks I'm dealing with don't really have a lot of exercise background. And even the ones that do coming to you as a trainer, maybe they used to work out all the time. Maybe they used to be really fit. But if you take a bunch of time off, you got to start back up and build back up. Whoever that is, compound movements are really going to be where it's at. Now, you could use, the whole whatever model you want to use for accessories and assistance work and that sort of thing. But compound movement, big movements, squats, hip hinges, unilateral lower body stuff like lunges, sled pushes, upper body pushes, press variations, pull variations, core like strengthening, transverse abdominis types, all that big picture stuff is going to have a huge effect, especially when they start off. And this is good for if you just happen to be watching this, you're not a personal trainer, but you want to get into training. That's kind of how you should go about it. More than likely, don't spend too much time, on the cable curls or whatever. Right? Focus on the big picture stuff, big rows. Work on trying to get a pull up or 20 pull up, whatever. So that's as far as exercise selection goes. But I also wrote here to myself, if someone could do a half squat, can only do a half squat range of motion wise, okay? Don't start loading the half squat until they can do a full squat. Now, I'm not talking about folks that have some sort of weird knee issue. If you got to work with I spilled something on my shirt there. If you need to work with like a physical therapist, to find out what they can do, what they can't, or their doctor or whatever, that's important information. Don't make them do something that their doctor's telling them they shouldn't do. But for the majority of people, there's usually a way without hurting them. In fact, for something that will help them in the long run, to do the full range of motion, right? So I mentioned that half squat. I kind of made the mistake of, I sort of thought, well, if they get stronger in the half squat, then they're getting stronger. But really, what you're going to end up doing is first of all, I feel like a good personal trainer should be able to get somebody, as long as they don't have some really hardcore issue, congenital or something caused by a previous injury or whatever. you should be able to get them to do a full range of motion throughout just about anything. And of course, avoid the exercises that, they shouldn't do from the, if somebody can't put their arm over their head, you don't want to start them off with, overhead presses or pull-ups or anything like that. Be smart about it, but work them through the full range of motion, right? Find the, if they're caving in or on their bench press and next coming up, you got to work those things through. Posture, build the ACE. I am ACE certified. ACE is, ACE did some good things, some things I wasn't crazy about. But one thing they do really put a lot of time into is talking about building good range of motion, stability, mobility before a load, all this sort of thing. Have them be able to demonstrate the exercise. Now, you might think this is just, obviously you would do that. But when you put it into practice, for me anyway, you're so tempted to start putting more weight on there to get them excited about it. It's sometimes it can be kind of boring having them do the full, just a squat with no weight and everything. But that is how they're going to grow. They're going to build a foundation. That's how you're going to keep them safe in the long run. And that's just how they're going to have a better life, honestly. So take your time, teach things right, don't rush it. Hopefully that makes sense. So I prioritize range of motion before load. Okay, I guess you could sum it up to that. Have some accountability measure in place. You don't have to have a cancellation policy, but having exception. Okay, so you're going to find a lot of people who are just super flaky, right? I told you before, I don't want to be a babysitter. Some people do. I'm not saying one's right and one's wrong. It's just not my thing. I don't like nagging people. I don't want to be nagged myself. I'm always kind of, I'm thinking of myself really when I'm talking to other folks. How do I want to be treated? Again, I'm not saying that sending somebody a message every time they miss a workout is a bad thing. In fact, what you're going to hear is that I probably should have been doing that more often. But it's needed. Some degree of accountability is needed because you're going to have folks that just constantly make excuses. They don't show up, whatever. And whether or not you care about your bottom line and you prepped it and everything. For me, it was like, as far as money goes, they were paying me up front for the month. Whether they show up or not, I'm getting paid the same amount. So if you want to look at it from a pure financial standpoint, for that month, I'm covered. I don't care what they do. But as a person with a soul and somebody who wants to see somebody grow, whether it's for financial reasons of my own or you just are, an altruist and you want to see somebody progress and be, happy, right? You got to instill some sort of accountability. They have to freaking show up. They got to do what they say they're going to do. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a right answer here. I think you're going to have to do whatever you're comfortable with. But again, kind of with the weight loss thing, you need to set expectations up front. Okay, if somebody just says they come once a week for a year or whatever the time frame is for a prolonged period of time, and it wasn't already decided that, okay, I can only come once a week and they're doing stuff at home or whatever, that's a different story. But it's somebody who's just sort of kind of in and out whenever, and then all of a sudden you're like, hey, you're done. You can't just do that to somebody, right? You need to let them know ahead of time. Hey, I have a requirement here. You got to come for at least 2 times a week. It's for me anyways, that's the same price. You do however you want to structure it price-wise. Expectations up front. You got to come for at least twice a week. If you don't, I'm going to have you sign this little contract here that says if you don't, no hard feelings. When you're ready to try again, you come back, but I'm going to ask you to not train with me anymore, okay? Because I take your progress very seriously, and people are going to respect that. In fact, I think they'd actually really appreciate it, because again, it's like accountability where you don't have to nag them constantly. It's accountability that's built in from the foundation, from the get-go. So set those expectations early. And if you've already done it, you're already down the road, then say, we'll kind of get to some things you could do, but just, give them some heads up. Like we're going to be starting in the next quarter. I'm going to be the next 3 months or whatever term you want to use. we're going to be starting this policy where you have to come twice a week or 3 times or whatever it is you want to do. Do you think you could adhere to that? And more than likely, they're going to say yes, or they'll say no. And if they say no, you guys can work that out on the side. But most people are going to say yes, and they're going to be cool with it. And you're going to give them plenty of time. You guys can still be friends. Everything's cool, all right? But expectations up front for accountability. If you want to have a cancellation policy where you charge people when they miss, that's fine. I didn't do that, but you can do that. But again, you got to let them know up front. Be very, very clear and respectful, and everything will be cool. And speaking of respect, this is something really important. Respect, attitude, I kind of mentioned that a little bit. I never really had this problem, I don't think, because I don't know. Again, I guess it's the customer service background, but it is so important. Like, there's folks that you're the highlight of their day. And I've heard some coaches talk on this before. Joe DeFranco has talked about this. It's such a great point. It's so important. You got people that, no matter how crappy your day is, you do not get to show it. I'm sorry. If you're really tired, and maybe it's a client who you know really, really well, and you guys are basically like good friends, and if you want to share some stuff with them, that's whatever. That's fine. Friends can do that, right? But for most people, you got to put on a show. And I'm not saying, be fake, but when you get that little hankering for, I'm so tired, my day was, don't do it. Don't even start it, okay? Smile all the time. Be positive. Ask them how their day was. It's not only going to help with how you design the workout. I had to alter workouts all the time. If somebody had a crappy day, I didn't get any sleep last night, my shoulder hurts, whatever. It'd be nice to know that ahead of time, but whatever, you got to work with what you got. Not only does you find out, not only can you be a better trainer because of that, but you just make people feel better, right? That is so important. If they come and they're like, I don't really think Rob wanted to see me today. That sucks, man. Don't let that happen. All right, just you'll be fine. You seem nice. All right, what was the next thing here? I got 3 or 4 more. 3, unless I keep making stuff up. Okay, pick a measurement or an indicator to track progress that lines up with their goals. That is really a no-brainer, right? That should absolutely be a big part of it, of what you do. That said, I did not always do that. When somebody said they wanted to lose weight, we would get on a scale. And I knew that was a bad idea, but they wanted to lose. I have to lose weight. But as you gain muscle and body composition, blah, 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 I give them the spiel, and they'd be like, but I really want to lose weight. Fine. All right, we'll get on the scale. Well, guess what? Back to my former points. They're not eating what they should. They're getting stronger. They're building, for whatever reason, very, very rarely, right off the bat, does somebody just start losing weight. I mean, they can if they start doing it right, but you want to pick a good, solid indicator that's going to make you look good, but also make them happy, right? Both those things work hand in hand. So if somebody wants to lose weight, for instance, unless you have, I would really steer them to body composition, right? Body composition changes, losing fat, right? Building muscle. Because that's really what they want to do. Unless they're like trying to qualify for some sort of life insurance premium, or they have like a wrestling meet coming up where weight like really, really matters, right? But most of the time people just want to look better naked, that whole thing. So body composition change is where it's at. And unless you're trained in using like calipers, or unless you have a really nice machine that you can consistently measure them on, for body fat, right? Because they're all over. You can't like measure them with hydrostatic, with the water first, and then one day do like a bod pod, because their results are going to be all over the place. Or DEXA, whatever it is, pick it and use that always. Okay, it's got to be consistent, and you have to know what you're doing. Okay, if you're going to use calipers, like make sure. I don't know how to use calipers. I never use them. I suck at them, and it's weird at all. There's so many other things you could do. For me, what we did was, hey, let's look at pant size, belt, notches. Like, I know it's super simple, but man, it's a pretty darn good reflection of body composition, right? I'm getting stronger. I stepped on the scale. I gained 4 pounds, but I lost a notch in my belt. How'd that work, right? Well, yeah, like I told you, let's look at body composition. Do you feel better? You like the way you're starting to like the way you look? Yes, I do. It turns out I don't really care that I gained 4 pounds. Cool, right? And you don't have to sit there and touch them and tickle them with the freaking body fat calipers or whatever. I'm not against those. I just, like I said, they're not for me. So pick a simple thing. Again, pant size, belt notches. I mean, for most people, up until a certain point, that's going to be good enough. So if it's something with strength, in fact, I would argue that for most people, even if it's body composition change, strength should be the indicator. You pick some sort of maybe it's they want to do I don't know. Obviously, if it's somebody that has a very specific, like they want to run a 40-yard dash in a certain amount of time, that's it right there, right? But for most people, general population, as you track their weights, as they track their weight, their reps, their weights, their volume, their whatever, that's going to be kind of an indicator in and of itself, and that's very important. So what else we got here? Make time for a one-on-one every month or two, every so often, to catch up individually with that person. Set the sessions, make a point to do it, send them a calendar invite, whatever it is you want to do, but make that a routine thing. It's something I did not do. I just didn't do it. I would kind of do it when, I always did like group sessions, individualized programming, but, have a group of like 4 people all kind of doing different things. And then I'd just kind of wait for maybe a session where it was just like 1 or 2 people, and then I'd start talking to them. But what I would find out is that those kind of rarely came. And when they did, it wouldn't be once a month. It would be like every 4 months or 5 months, and that's just not good enough. You got to sit down and just ask them. Find out. It's like a customer satisfaction survey. Just, hey, are you happy with what you're doing? Like, how's your life? Let's have a real serious one-on-one. It doesn't have to be long. It doesn't have to be weird. But 10 minutes. Let's just talk about. Tell me what you don't like. Tell me what you do like, and it's going to make them feel good. Make them feel like you care. But more importantly, you're going to get really valuable feedback. It's going to help them with their results. It's going to help you stay longer, and it's the right thing to do. Shame on me for not doing it. I highly recommend that you do it. Make time with your clients for a one-on-one. Make it like a day, like an office hours day, or once or twice a month. People who just sign up and you got to open door, come in, or have a phone call or whatever, and just have a one-on-one. Okay. And then I think we'll end it with this. Don't change the workouts just for the sake of keeping things interesting, right? And showing them how many exercises right? All the beach body stuff, you might end up P90X or Insanity Max or whatever. Not knocking that stuff. I made videos before. I've talked, but they have value to some extent, but you might do 300 different exercises, and most folks are coming off. They've at least had some dose of that. Like, they're used to, like, don't I need to do like 40 different exercises for my butt in order to get a good butt? I mean, that's one way to do it sometimes, but get out of that. You do not have to make things constantly novel in order to make your client happy. That was a mistake that I made. I thought that everybody wanted to, they wanted to always have, fresh exercise and fresh workouts, new programs. I would change somebody's program every 3 to 4 weeks just because I wanted it to be fresh. I didn't want them to get bored. I never wanted them to get bored, right? That is, my heart was in the right place, and then they still kind of made progress from that because, adherents are getting stronger. They're moving, basically coming from nothing to doing something 3 times a week, anything for a long time that's going to work. But I was really doing them a disservice, and for 2 main reasons. One is that I made a video on this a while back. I was talking about muscle confusion, and it really ended up being a video on when to change your program, when to change your exercise selection. When is it really time to do that? Like, for the sake of progress, for the sake of meeting your goals, right? So I'll try to link to that. You can check that out if you're interested. But when you change things too early unnecessarily, for no good reason other than just to make things more exciting, you are oftentimes snipping progress. You're cutting it too early. You're not getting everything you could out of whatever that program, that exercise, progression, whatever is. So it hurts your results. That's one reason. And the other reason is it robs you of an opportunity to take focus on enjoyment, getting their joy out of why they come to you in the first place, from I really love these workouts, they're so much fun, to have them excited about the results that they're getting, right? That is why they're coming to you in the first place. They may have found that they like exercise. They may have found that they like you, and that's all bonus stuff. But really, when it comes down, it's about progress. It's about results. So instead of saying, we're going to switch these 6 exercises out, that's another thing. It's not really safe, right? If you're like trying to teach somebody 6 new exercises every time they come in for a few weeks, it kind of freaks them out a little bit. Like, you're like learning 6 new skills, right? Again, you kind of assume they don't know anything, right? And I might be able to go into a gym. I've been working out for a while now and swing 6 exercises and start figuring stuff out, just based on a good foundational knowledge. But for most people, you can't do that to them. They're going to be frustrated, not going to be able to do anything right. It's going to be really weird, right? But there's another little tangent there. But there's a third reason, right? Just safety. They might get hurt. But instead of switching the exercises out to make the workout more fun, say, hey, that logbook you've been keeping, look how strong you've gotten. And hey, look at those pants. Shift the excitement to their results, to what they're getting. It's going to build accountability. It's going to make you a more effective programmer as a personal trainer. It's going to keep them coming back. It's going to keep them happy. Everybody's going to win. So don't feel like you have to make the workouts the most fun thing ever, right? There's some people that no matter how fun you make it, they're going to hate it, right? They need to go and take dance class or climb a mountain or something. There's some folks that they don't want to spend time in the gym, right? It's a futile attempt on your part, right? So don't waste too much time. If you want to, now if there is don't get me wrong. There are times where it's just like, look, if I have to do this workout one more time, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna leave because I'm just so sick of it. I'm so bored. And yeah, I know I'm getting results, but you might, I'm exaggerating, but you might find somebody like that. You can make things novel without affecting other things, without affecting all those 3 points I made, right? You can do new things in the warm-up. You can add little finishers, right? Like at the end of a workout. You can switch those up, something that just kind of leaves them, whether it be like some sort of crazy drop set or a Tabata rounds or some little circuit at the end or whatever it is, that kind of stuff, that little fringe stuff, play with that, have fun with that, make that crazy, novel, whatever. But keep the bulk, the meat potatoes of your programming where it is. Stick to the plan, right? Stick to the plan until it's time to change the plan, okay? That's about it. That's a lot of stuff. I was telling my wife I was going to make this video. I'm like, this is going to be one of those videos that like no one watches, even though it's probably. I mean, for me, if somebody had told me all this stuff, I'm not saying I'm like the smartest man in the world, but this is stuff I wish I knew that would have made me better from the get-go. So if you're watching this and you take all of this into honest consideration and make appropriate changes, again, at the end of the day, you got to decide what's best for you and your clients. But, I mean, this is the kind of thing that could, This could literally be like a $50,000 video, right? I'm sorry that I'm the one that has to deliver it to you. We're 40 minutes in, but there's a lot of stuff, and it's really important. I really feel strongly about everything I just said. And if you're starting off as a trainer, at least consider it, okay? Rob Shoecraft, 3 Storm Fitness. Like and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching. You guys have a great day. Thank you.